Hi everybody, this is Darren. Just coming to you with a quick update today because has been some changes announced to the superannuation system that mainly affects people in pension phase over the age of 60. These things are proposed at this stage. They're not enshrined in law, but they are quite significant for people with high levels of income from super. So I thought I'd just come down to you with a quick update on what they are, just so that you understand whether you're affected or not, because there's some complexities, especially around the capital gains side of things. So what we'll see is tax-free withdrawals from age 60 will remain unchanged, so that's not a problem. But from 1 July 2014, the tax exemption applying to pension account earnings will be limited to $100,000 per individual, of course. So that's basically up until that amount. It will be still tax-free, so the same as it currently is. But over that, it will be a 15% tax applying on any excess. So at the moment, that's really talking about income from things like interest or dividends, but there is a capital gain element, and that cap will be indexed by the CPI in $10,000 increments. So we'll look at see how that's applied in future. For assets that are purchased before 5th of April, so today, the reform will actually apply to capital gains that accrue after 1st July 2024. So there's actually a fair room for allowance for any assets that are already in your hands. For assets that are purchased from today to 30 June 2014, individuals will have the choice of applying the reform to the entire capital gain or only that part that accrues after July 2014. So that will need to be thought through pretty well in terms of what the best outcome is. So for assets that are purchased from 1 July 2014, the reform will apply to the entire capital gain. So there's a bit of a transitional period, and some thought will need to go into that. Again, I think people need help on this stuff. The $25,000 concessional contribution cap will remain, but it will increase to $35,000 unindexed for individuals aged 60 and over from 1 July 2013 and aged 50 and over from 1 July 2014. So the previous consideration to limit the higher cap to individuals with balances below $500,000 has been dropped, so that's good. So excess concessional contributions from 1 July 2013, so concessional are the ones pre-tax, so we're talking about salary sacrifice, or if you're self-employed, ones that you're making that you're claiming a tax deduction on, from 1 July 13 will be can be withdrawn from the fund and taxed at marginal rates, plus an interest component rather than retained in the fund and taxed at the highest marginal rate. So that's going to be interesting to see how we go with that. In addition, from 1 January 2015, all new account-based superannuation pensions will be assessed as income for income test purposes rather than benefit from reduction based on the capital component. So that's a pretty interesting one too, because that changes assessment for income test quite a lot, and all existing pensions at that date will be grandfathered. So if you haven't already commenced a pension by 1 January 2015, it may be worth considering whether you do so, because it's going to have a pretty big change in the income test after that date. So there's things like transition retirement pensions and so forth, which maybe need to be considered. So there's some pretty big complexities around all this stuff. Okay, so there you have it. Those are the changes that are proposed. Again, they're not enshrined in law, so they're likely to be tinkered with a little bit, because quite often these things aren't as easy to implement as it seems when they are proposing them. And there's obviously some issues there in terms of counting the levels and how you go about it. If you haven't got an advisor or you're not my client already, you're welcome to contact me to have a chat about the impact to yourself. Otherwise, I suggest you get advice about this stuff, because it is an area that requires a little bit of thought, because there are some strategies I think that can be employed to get around this stuff. Otherwise, we'll talk to you soon.